Ladies and gentlemen, today is not just another quiet day in the currency world. This is a moment many of us have been waiting years for. I want you to imagine something with me. You walk into a US bank. Maybe it's the one you've used for years. You go to the teller, or maybe you peek at the currency screen, and there it is. The IQD, the Iraqi dinar, not hidden, not marked as unavailable, not coded in a system only certain insiders can see, but right there in plain sight. And if that wasn't enough to get your heart racing, you notice something else? The VND, the Vietnamese dong, is also on that screen. This isn't rumor or speculation from an online forum. This is happening in the real world, in real banks, and the fact that these rates are showing now, in 2025, might be the biggest clue yet that something massive is moving behind the scenes. Over the past decade, the Iraqi dinar has been a symbol of both patience and frustration for holders who have waited through countless delays, rumors, and false starts. And now, here we are in a year where the landscape feels different. People are reporting that bank. Employees, not just behind closed doors, but sometimes right at the customer service desk, are confirming that the IQD rate is visible in their system. For years, if you even asked about Iraqi dinar, you'd be told it was exotic, untradeable, or simply not available. But now, for the first time in recent memory, US banks are showing actual numbers next to the IQD code. This is not an insignificant change. It's a major signal that something inside the financial infrastructure is shifting. And it's visible to regular customers, not just high-level insiders or corporate offices. That alone makes this moment worth paying close attention to. And it's not just the Iraqi dinar making headlines in this new development. Reports are surfacing that the Vietnamese dong, or VND, is also showing up on certain bank screens alongside the IQD. This is important because the VND, like the dinar, has been watched closely by those who believe it could revalue or adjust in a way that changes its worth dramatically. For years, both of these currencies have been in the watch and wait category, traded internationally at low rates. But with a belief among some that major reforms or agreements could push their value much higher. Seeing both on US bank screens at the same time suggests this might not be a single currency event, but rather part of a larger coordinated move in the international financial system. And if that's the case, it could mean the window we've been waiting for is beginning to open now, before we all rush to the bank with our notes in hand. We have to slow down and understand the bigger picture. Just because a rate is visible on a bank's internal system does not mean they are actively exchanging at that rate today. In some locations, staff have reportedly told customers that while the rate is showing, appointments will be required for any transactions. In others, the rate is visible but marked for internal use only until a public release date is confirmed. This is why patience is key right now. Walking into a bank too early could mean being turned away, and walking in too late could mean missing specific benefits or contract options that might be available during an initial rollout. The smart move is to watch, listen, and gather information carefully without drawing unnecessary attention to yourself or your holdings. What's most fascinating about this development is that it lines up with months of behind-the-scenes chatter about readiness in both US and international banking systems. Over recent months, sources have quietly mentioned that certain branches were setting up special desks, that staff were being trained for unusual transactions, and that redemption centers were being quietly prepared. For a long time, these sounded like scattered puzzle pieces without a clear image. But now, with rates appearing on screens, the picture feels more complete. It's possible we're in the middle of a phased rollout. First, internal visibility, then controlled exchanges by appointment, then a full public announcement. If true, this would explain why rates are visible in some places but not yet active everywhere. For Iraqi dinar holders, This could be the first tangible proof in years that their patience may finally pay off. Imagine sitting on currency you bought a decade ago, holding on to it through years of criticism, and finally seeing the day when a U.S. bank acknowledges it again as a tradable asset. That's not just a small victory, it's potentially the beginning of a financial turning point. And for Vietnamese dong holders, the excitement is just as real. The idea that both currencies could move in tandem would create a unique double wave effect, something almost unheard of in the modern financial world. It would not just be a currency revaluation, it would be a moment of simultaneous economic shift that could ripple through multiple regions. The appearance of IQD and VND rates in U.S. banks is also a strong sign that something is changing. In Iraq's and Vietnam's own banking systems, it's for these currencies to be recognized and shown by U.S. institutions. There must be coordination with their central banks and possibly international financial regulators. This suggests the possibility of broader monetary reforms, international agreements, or even oil-based contracts being finalized in the background. In Iraq's case, this could be tied to their ongoing efforts to modernize their banking sector, reduce reliance on cash, and integrate more deeply into global markets. In Vietnam's case, it might be connected to trade agreements, economic growth metrics, or currency stabilization efforts designed to make the dong more attractive internationally. It's worth noting that a shift like this doesn't happen randomly. Financial systems are highly controlled environments, and for a currency to appear on a U.S. bank's customer-facing system, a chain of approvals and updates has to occur. That means someone, somewhere, made a decision to flip that visibility switch. Whether this is part of a test, a soft launch, or a global coordination effort, it signals intent. Banks don't show currencies by accident. And the fact that multiple people in different areas are confirming similar sightings suggests this is more than just one bank or one branch acting on its own. We should also talk about what happens after a major currency revaluation, because while many people focus on the moment of exchange, the real work begins after the deposit hits your account. A sudden change in financial position brings with it a need for careful planning. This includes tax preparation, financial advising, investment strategies, and, importantly, security for both your funds and your personal information. If this IQD and VND development does move forward, the smartest holders will be the ones who not only exchange wisely but also plan for the years that follow. That means avoiding impulsive spending, setting up diversified investments, and protecting wealth for the long term. Another reason to remain calm and strategic is the possibility of tiered or contract rates. In past scenarios, certain holders had been offered specific rates based on the volume of currency they exchanged, the method they used, or agreements they signed with specific banks or institutions. Walking into a branch without knowing your options could mean leaving money on the table. This is why many in the currency community stress the importance of preparation, having your notes organized, your ID ready, and your questions written down. It's about being ready to move when the moment is right, not just when the excitement peaks. Looking at the timing, it's no surprise this is happening in 2025. The global economy has been shifting rapidly, with new trade deals emerging, technology and banking, and nations rethinking their monetary policies. The Middle East, in particular, has been seeing renewed attention from investors and international institutions. Iraq's oil exports, infrastructure projects, push for financial modernization all point toward a country positioning itself for stronger economic influence. Vietnam, meanwhile, continues to be a manufacturing and export powerhouse in Southeast Asia, which gives its currency strong potential if we're valued or adjusted in global markets. Seeing both nations' currencies appear in U.S. banks now could be the visible tip of a much larger economic iceberg. It's also important to remember that not all banks will move at the same pace. Some may have updated systems already, while others could lag behind until they get corporate instructions. This means two people in the same city could have very different experiences at their local branch. That's why relying on calm, direct communication with your bank is far better than chasing every online rumor. Call ahead discreetly, ask general questions, and avoid making a scene. The goal is to gather real information without drawing unnecessary attention to yourself or your currency holdings. If this trend continues, we could soon see more confirmed reports of appointments being scheduled, special desks opening, and public announcements being made. But until then, the smartest thing any of us can do is remain steady, stay informed, and be ready. Asterisk. So here's the bottom line. The Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong showing rates in US banks is a huge deal. It's not a full-on green light to exchange just yet, but it is a massive signpost pointing toward change. The fact that this is happening now, after years of waiting, tells us the gears are turning. Whether today is the day or tomorrow or weeks from now, we are closer than ever. The key is to be ready, be cautious, and be smart. Because when the doors finally open all the way, those who are prepared will be in the best position to take advantage of this age.